The Border Collie refused to cross the threshold. When Sarah Mitchell saw her son's loyal companion whining in the nursery doorway, staring at the new monitor, she thought it was just an adjustment. For 3 weeks, Cooper had been Liam's shadow, following the 1-year-old everywhere. Now the dog sat frozen, trembling, his eyes fixed on the small device with its soft blue glow. Sarah tried everything to coax him inside. She offered treats, used her happiest voice, even carried Liam to the doorway to encourage Cooper forward. But the dog wouldn't budge. What they discovered was so shocking, it changed how they understood the invisible dangers lurking in their own home. Before watching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another heart-gripping story like this one. Sarah and her husband Mark had brought Cooper home 2 years ago, a wedding gift from Mark's late father, who'd bred Border Collies his entire life. The dog had been part of their family before Liam arrived, adjusting beautifully to the baby's presence. Cooper was gentle, patient, and remarkably intuitive. When Liam started crawling, Cooper would position himself between the baby and the stairs. When Liam cried, Cooper would find Sarah or Mark immediately, leading them to the nursery. But 3 weeks ago, everything changed. They'd upgraded to a smart baby monitor, one of those expensive models with night vision, temperature sensors, and a smartphone app that promised peace of mind. Mark had mounted it on the shelf above Liam's crib, angled perfectly to capture every corner of the room. The blue indicator light glowed softly, pulsing with each breath the system detected. That first night, Cooper had entered the nursery as usual for Liam's bedtime routine. But halfway across the room, the dog froze. His ears flattened against his skull. He backed up slowly, never taking his eyes off the monitor, and positioned himself in the doorway. "Cooper, come here, boy," Sarah had called, patting her leg. Cooper whined, a low, anxious sound that made her stomach twist. "He's probably just spooked by the new device," Mark said, adjusting the monitor's angle. "Dogs can see the infrared light. Maybe it's bothering him." They'd covered the light with tape. Cooper still wouldn't enter. The nights became a battlefield of anxiety. Cooper would pace the hallway outside Liam's room, whining constantly. The sound would wake them multiple times each night. Sarah's eyes grew hollow from interrupted sleep. Mark snapped at her over breakfast about forgetting to buy coffee. They were both running on fumes, their patience worn thread-thin. "We need to do something about the dog," Mark said one morning, his voice tight with exhaustion. "I can barely function at work." "He's never acted like this," Sarah replied, her hands trembling as she poured cereal for Liam. "Something's wrong." "Yeah, something's wrong. He's developed some weird anxiety issue, and we can't live like this." Cooper sat in the nursery doorway, even now, in broad daylight, staring at that monitor. His whole body was tense, ready to bolt, but he wouldn't leave his post. He'd stopped eating properly. His ribs were starting to show. "Maybe we should rehome him," Mark said quietly. Sarah's head snapped up. "Absolutely not. Your father gave us Cooper. He's family." "My father would understand that our son comes first. We can't have a neurotic dog around Liam." "Cooper loves Liam. He's protecting him." "From what? A baby monitor?" The argument ended with Mark slamming his coffee mug down and leaving for work early. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, fighting tears, while Cooper maintained his vigil in the doorway upstairs. That afternoon, Sarah called a veterinary behaviorist. Dr. Rachel Chen had stellar reviews and specialized in anxiety disorders in dogs. She could come that evening. When Dr. Chen arrived, she was younger than Sarah expected, with kind eyes and a calm demeanor that immediately put her at ease. She spent 20 minutes observing Cooper from a distance, taking notes. "Show me the nursery," Dr. Chen said. Sarah led her upstairs. Cooper was there, as always, sitting in the doorway. When they approached, he whined and pressed himself against the opposite wall, but he didn't leave. Dr. Chen knelt beside Cooper, speaking softly, running her hands over his body. "His heart rate is elevated. He's stressed, but look at his positioning. He's not trying to escape. He's guarding." "Guarding against what?" Dr. Chen stood, studying the room. Her eyes landed on the monitor. "When did you install that?" 3 weeks ago, right when this started. "May I?" Dr. Chen pulled something from her bag. A small handheld device with a digital display. "What is that?" "EMF reader. Electromagnetic field detector. It's a long shot, but smart devices can sometimes malfunction." She stepped into the nursery. Cooper's whining intensified. He pawed at Dr. Chen's leg, trying to pull her back. "It's okay, boy," she murmured. She held the device up, moving it slowly around the room. The numbers on the display were low, steady, normal. Then she approached the monitor. The device screamed. Not literally, but the numbers spiked so dramatically that Dr. Chen actually gasped and stepped backward. "Oh my God," she whispered. "What? What is it?" Dr. Chen's face had gone pale. "This monitor is emitting an extremely high-frequency electrical pulse. The EMF levels are off the charts." She turned to Sarah, her professional composure cracking. "How long has your son been sleeping under this?" Sarah's throat closed. 3 weeks, every night. "You need to turn this off right now. Unplug it. Remove it from this room immediately." Sarah's hands shook as she yanked the plug from the wall. The blue light died. Cooper's entire body relaxed. He walked into the nursery for the first time in weeks, went directly to Liam's crib and sat beside it. "I don't understand," Sarah said, her voice barely audible. "What does this mean? Is Liam okay?" Dr. Chen was examining the monitor now, careful not to plug it back in. "Dogs hear frequencies we can't. Their hearing range extends to about 65,000 hertz. Humans top out around 20,000. This device is faulty. It's emitting a constant high-frequency electrical pulse that was completely imperceptible to you, but absolutely agonizing for Cooper." Sarah's knees buckled. She grabbed the crib rail for support. "But Liam, children are more sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies than adults. Their skulls are thinner, their nervous system's still developing. Prolonged exposure to this level of EMF," Dr. Chen's voice was gentle but firm. "You need to call your pediatrician. Tonight." The room spun. Sarah pulled out her phone with trembling fingers and called Mark. "You need to come home right now." "Sarah, I'm in a meeting. The monitor is hurting Liam. Cooper was trying to warn us. Come home now." She heard him stand up, heard him excuse himself. "I'm on my way." Dr. Chen stayed with her until Mark arrived. Together, they explained everything. Mark's face went from confusion to horror to something that looked like he might be sick. "I wanted to rehome him," Mark said, staring at Cooper. "I was going to get rid of the dog who was trying to save our son." Sarah called a pediatrician, who told them to bring Liam to the emergency room immediately. The drive was silent, except for Liam's happy babbling from his car seat, oblivious to his parents' terror. At the hospital, they ran tests, blood work, neurological assessments. The doctor, a woman in her 50s with gray-streaked hair and steady hands, examined Liam thoroughly. "Is he going to be okay?" Sarah asked, her voice breaking. "His preliminary tests look good," the doctor said. "But I want to be honest with you. Prolonged EMF exposure in infants can cause developmental delays, sleep disturbances, and in extreme cases, neurological damage. You caught this early. 3 weeks of exposure, while concerning, is better than 3 months or 3 years." "How much damage?" Mark couldn't finish the sentence. "We'll monitor him closely over the next few months. Watch for any developmental regression, sleep issues, or behavioral changes. But children are resilient. If there's any impact, early intervention can make all the difference." The doctor paused, her expression softening. "Your dog saved your son from something you couldn't see or hear. Border Collies are incredibly intelligent and sensitive. He knew something was wrong and refused to leave his post, even when it caused him pain to stay close. That's remarkable." They brought Liam home at midnight. Cooper was waiting by the door, his tail wagging tentatively when he saw them. Mark knelt down first. He'd been silent most of the evening, his jaw tight with guilt. Now he buried his face in Cooper's fur. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry, boy. You were trying to tell us. You were protecting him the whole time." Sarah joined them on the floor, one hand on her husband's shoulder, one scratching behind Cooper's ears. The dog licked Liam's tiny hand, and the baby giggled. "We didn't listen," Sarah said. "We thought you were the problem." That night, they set up a temporary sleeping arrangement in their bedroom for Liam. Cooper lay beside the bassinet, finally at peace. Sarah watched her son sleep, counting his breaths, looking for any sign of harm. Mark had already filed a report with the Consumer Product Safety Commission. The monitor manufacturer would be contacted. Other families would be warned. But none of that changed how close they'd come. "Another week," the doctor had said, "and we might have seen permanent effects. You were lucky." Lucky because a dog had refused to stop trying to communicate. Lucky because they'd finally listened. Over the following weeks, Liam showed no signs of developmental issues. His sleep improved, actually. He seemed calmer, more content. Cooper returned to being his shadow, but now Sarah and Mark watched their dog differently. They paid attention to his behavior, trusted his instincts. They'd learned that sometimes the line between safety and danger is invisible to human senses, guarded not by technology or expertise, but by instinct and loyalty. Cooper hadn't been able to explain what was wrong. He'd simply refused to abandon his post, enduring his own suffering to sound an alarm they almost ignored. Sarah often thought about that moment when Dr. Chen's device had screamed its warning, how Cooper had immediately relaxed when the monitor died, how he'd walked straight to Liam's crib, as if to say, finally, now he's safe. Sometimes the most sophisticated dangers hide behind the most innocent facades, a baby monitor promising peace of mind, a soft blue light, a pulse no human could detect. And sometimes salvation comes not from understanding, but from trusting what we cannot explain. If this story shook you, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe for more powerful stories. Share it with friends and family who have young children or smart home devices. Because sometimes the greatest threats are the ones we invite into our homes ourselves, and the greatest protectors are the ones we almost push away.